And I was hesitant a little bit to say it. And now I know why, because when I look at the audience that's here this morning, y'all been giving all your... So I'm going to switch that around just a little bit and talk about the vitality of spirit in your life, which is the most significant thing I can think of for us to focus on today. Because we have been inundated all our lives with the imprint of society about the age and who you are, your size, and all these other things. We have been inundated with a lot of things politically, and with the industry of how you're supposed to look and all this stuff. And so most of us have lived our lives trying to meet up to these imprints that have been given to us. But in doing my research for this on the vitality, I really came across some very interesting things about vitality. We get our vitality, in essence, the real vitality of life comes through the spiritual presence of life, because we live this life from the things that we have learned from these books and stuff. But the ultimate thing that we learned in life is the true sense of being who and what we are is where that true vitality of life comes from. And I don't know about you, but I learned kind of late. I kind of got older before I realized that, I don't have to do it like that. I have to do it according to what harmonizes my soul, what brings that sense of power and truth and beauty to me feeling good about being myself. I even look in the mirror, and if I feel that humanistic viewpoint, it kind of, I just can't get things right. But when I feel the joy and the love and the spirit of being a spiritual being, and knowing that I'm creating this world the way through my consciousness, and when I start embracing that idea, I look in life, I like the way I look in the mirror. So it does shift us. That vitality of spirit that comes from spirit is powerful. And I think most of you have probably heard of this lady called Emma Curtis Hopkins. Yeah. Well, Emma gives us this, she makes this statement. But who hath told himself that all the objects he beholds and all their movements also are but the projection of his own consciousness, his own judgment. He seems to always be a learner and seeker, till at the center of his consciousness, the fact is suddenly proclaimed that he himself produced the world that he is experiencing. When we get to that idea and realize that everything that is coming forth from us, what we are experiencing in the world, is a result of this consciousness. All of a sudden, it's like, okay, let me see how I can get my consciousness together. Let me see how I can stop thinking those thoughts that are turning me down. Let me see how I can forgive myself. How can I turn this around in such a way that I'm living the true vitality of spirit. And I'm finding that the more I can get into that, the more I can understand and appreciate that I am producing this world, the less conflict I'm having out inside of myself, the less disturbance the world brings into my life. Now, sometimes I make some shifts. Like I stop looking at the news. And I stopped looking at these magazines and trying to figure out how I'm supposed to look and this and that, and start looking at what I think is pretty and what I think is beautiful and how I want to embrace it. So I'm learning that. But I also learned that this physical body responds to this consciousness. It responds to it in such a way that I'm beginning to realize that I am actually creating the health problems that I have with my thinking. And I can get away from them if I catch my thinking early enough, and I feel like I'm creating this. I look at the pain, I look at the experience, and then I turn my mind towards, okay, God is my health. I know that. I don't run from the pain. I look at it and say that if I know that God is my health, I know that God is my comfort, my experience of life, then I find that things begin to go in a different direction. It doesn't get worse, it gets better. It is about owning up to this tremendous power that we have been holding within ourselves all our lives. And to me, it's people like us, that us practicing it and talking about it and sharing it, that we are able to wake up a younger generation to the truth of their being. We are able to introduce them to the idea that they have the power to determine the experience of life. So, it's not so much as I could tell you how to do it, because you know how to do it already. Everybody in here, I'm looking at, you know how to do it already. But the wonder of it and the beauty of it, I just want to tap you on the shoulder to actually, I would just, how is it? I just want to see more of the younger people knowing this. I had a fabulous week with a bunch of nieces and nephews. And I really had a sense of how fabulous it was to know these truths and be able to share it with others. And I had so many one-to-one experiences. And they came, I have one nephew that came from France, another one came from North Carolina, another one came from Chicago, and a couple of them live here. So I spent my time with them, and I had at least, just every one of them came to me and kind of thanked me. And I had a whole discussion of how my life has influenced their life. It was rich because I was a little wild when I was young. So, so they saw the shift from that person that was running and to the person that I am now. And they were talking about how much I introduced them to the idea of joy in your life. And that spirituality wasn't connected with being all starchy and straight. Spirituality was to do with you feeling and knowing God your way. It was so rich to hear that and to understand that. But there are a lot of young people out there. And I don't know, I know every one of you have them around you. So every opportunity you get, share this idea. We have a rich understanding of spirituality. We have a rich awareness when we know, Holmes says, there is a vitality in our communication with the infinite, which is productive of the highest good. They need to know that. If they can get in touch, that instead of being influenced by the propaganda of the TVs and the magazines and all these things that are telling them you're supposed to be this way and you're supposed to be that, they need to get in touch with the truth of their being. And I know a lot of it spirituality is associated with churches, but spirituality is everywhere. It's not just about churches. It's about the being of who and what we are. And we do it we in an environment every day in which we can share that. Everybody here has known a moment when they felt the alignment. I mean, you have everybody, and I can't say everybody in this room I know has. That's kind of like, oh, look at this opportunity. When you felt the alignment with spirit, and you felt the difference in the vitality of your whole being, when you felt good. And sometimes it comes with just a hug from your grandchild, or just from a sweet word from another person acknowledging your presence, or the joy of when we see the light go on in someone's eyes. That is when we hear that spiritual presence. And Holmes says the vitality of life is self-existence, self-propelling. As I become conscious of my oneness with the good, I am filled with an enthusiasm or a sense of energetic vitality. Spirit will give you the vitality to do what you need to do. And Spirit will bring through us that energy to do and to face it. And whether it's painting a picture, or painting or drawing a drawing, or having a conversation, or whatever the idea, or singing a song, whatever it is, this is the spiritual presence of life. The vitality of spirit, allowing it to direct us in that experience. And the opportunity comes with it sometimes. If you ever try to do something, just practice thinking of how spirit is coming through you at that moment. And see if there is a shift in your energy to do it. Try it. It really is different. And I'm sure, Margot, I'm sure you have had that niche when you paint it, and then you just feel it. It's supposed to go this way instead of that way. And all of you have had those creative moments in different experience. And it can be as simple as being in the kitchen and deciding that you want it to look this way, or fixing, or to being getting dressed and decided, oh yeah, this and this looks beautiful together. And you blend it and say, oh yeah, this is perfect. Little things. When spirit shows up, acknowledging it and reassuring yourself that it is the inner spirit that is doing the guiding. And you know what, that consciousness that you were talking about having faith, that faith is vitalized by the awareness, the idea of acknowledging it when it shows up. And if you acknowledge it when it shows up, it gets more and more and more incidents. And I'm finding that it is actually growing more, that I immerse myself in the philosophical thinking, whether it's sometime reading a book about spirituality, or having a conversation with another being. These are the things that have really brought forth that consciousness that this idea that spirit is in us. Spirit is the core of our being. Spirit is that which brings life vividly in expression through me. The more we do that, the more we experience it. And so when we are meditating, treating, or just enjoying the beauty of nature, it may be an experience just sitting and enjoying the wonder of a tree. Those moments when you feel like, this is beautiful, Check in with your consciousness and see where it's coming from. Build it so that the awareness of it, as soon as it shows up, you know it. And then it can get stronger and stronger. And I'm encouraging you from this because I'm finding it to be a wondrous experience to be on this thing. Not just learning all these principles that I've been studying for what, 50 years. It's not just that, when I'm studying the principles, it's living it. Living these principles. And they are not hard to, that is hard to live as I thought they were. I thought I had to get it figured out from up here. It's not. It is acknowledging it, embracing it, and having faith that it's going to work. I have to have faith that my health is the health of God. I have to have faith that I know what to say when I need to say it. I have to have faith to know and understand that I'm going to be where I need to be when I need to be there. I have to have faith that the words, that when they come out of my mouth, they're going to be the words that needs to be heard. I have to have faith to know and understand that the spiritual presence of life is always at that door waiting for me to open it. And I am the one that needs to open it. I know that when I am able to stand up here and share my understanding, my acceptance that Spirit is the path of the answer, that's when it seems to be the most vitality and energy of being becomes so fully present that you feel more alive. You feel more like, I feel more alive when I talk about Spirit. I just feel like, God, this is good. Yes, and I'm so glad I found it before it was too late. I'm so glad that I learned about it when I did learn about it. And we all have it. We all are. And that's the other thing. We worry about, what's happening to these people over here. The more stronger we get, the stronger we get individually, the more it is out there. We are the wonder of Spirit in expression. And you can write 5 or 6 books, but you let one of us walk down the street and be a light of who and what we are. We will awaken and touch more people than 10 or 20 books. Do you understand the reality of it being lived? And especially when you get to be our age. That's when it's vividly. And the thing about it is, that means that the younger people that are in the world can shift all these so-called problems with that same awareness. But all we have to do is be it. Be who and what we are. And be it to the fullest of our ability. You don't have to be comparing ourselves with anybody or reach anybody else's standard. The only standard that it needs to be reached is God. And each one of us is the divine in expression. We need to know this. We need to do this. We need to live in this. The world will change, you guys. It will. It's very powerful. And I think that a couple of Irma Curtis Hopkins, and I thought about it when she said that when she found out that this was her path, she was no longer listening to the outside, that she listened to the inside. She said everything changed. And I think about divine science, unity, religious science, and a few other teachings all came from this one lady. Because her learning truth, and she gave it away as much as she could. And you think about all of us are here learning and using this because there was that lady that decided to live it. So that thing means Look at how many times it's multiplied. And I thank y'all. I really wanted to share this instead of this talk I wrote. So when I saw who was here, I said, oh, I get it. And I want to thank you because I feel like I am blessed to be on this path with such fabulous souls. And thank you for letting me share this.
Thank you.